episode of My Story for You. Today I have with me Dave Crane. He's an NLP practitioner, a public speaker that everybody knows around the world, and a great motivational life coach. How are you, Dave?
I'm good, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here in this wonderful studio.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. It's my pleasure indeed.
I had no choice. You were going to stalk me if I hadn't turned up anyway, so no problem. Lovely to see you. It's great to be here.
So Dave, tell us your story. How did you start and why did you start?
How many hours have you got? How did I start what? From when I was a little baby, 80,000 years ago. Which part are you interested in? Tell me.
I want to know about public speaking.
Okay. Public speaking. I've been on stage since I was about 3 years old doing school plays. And I lived in Scotland at the time, and I entered a lot of national competitions. I won some national competitions. To cut a long story short, I worked for the BBC as a news reporter, and I ended up winning a TV show in the UK called Blind Date, and I wanted to use it as a springboard to get some more TV shows, which didn't happen where I wanted it to anyway. So my option was to move from the northeast of England down to London, so then I'd be in the centre of all the activity, and I just didn't like London. So I thought, right, I've had enough, I'm going to go travel the world and seek my fortune. And got as far as Dubai and stopped. And so in Dubai, I've been here for about 25 years. I travel around the world a lot, doing events and so on. And I keep looking for reasons why I should leave Dubai, and I can't find one. I'm sure there's plenty of people who haven't one for me, but I just love being here. And so as far as speaking goes, I've always been a speaker. I've been on a radio as a presenter, I've been a DJ, I'm a stage hypnotist, I'm a motivational speaker, as you've mentioned. I use Hypnosis, NLP, and now I put it all together into a big package and train people to be brilliant speakers.
Amazing. Somebody who has done lots of...
Well, I've had to. People keep sacking me. No, I don't really. I just thought I'd say it.
Okay, all right. So, Dave, what are the major features that a speaker should have, the qualities that a speaker should have?
Okay, I think that right now we're in a world where people should be speaking regardless. I think that if you're not able to speak, it's like not having a Facebook profile, or having a LinkedIn profile. People will just ignore you because they can't do effective business with you. Speaking is still a massive fear for 90% of the population, and so they avoid it. And it's interesting that a fear of typing onto social media platforms is the same as a fear of speaking to audiences. People just don't know how to phrase it and portray it and share it, so they just don't do it at all. I think that you really have to be able to conquer that, because if you don't, you become invisible. And I think that what's happening now is more people are creating a brand online than ever before. When we were young, we were told, go to school, get educated, you'll get a good job offer, and then you've got a job for life. I don't think anything's for life. I'm not even convinced that there's enough jobs for everybody. Well, there's plenty of jobs for everybody, but they keep evolving and changing. So you need to be visible, and you need to be able to declare yourself as being very good at what you do. And so the fastest way to do that is to create an online brand around yourself. And the best way to create a brand is to be able to talk about what you do. Talking to camera, talking to an audience, and of course talking in your head, which is how you start the whole thing going. So the short answer for what makes a great speaker is somebody who's able to communicate effectively, so what they want to say that goes on in their head goes straight through to the other person or the audience, so they understand exactly what it is that they want to say. What makes a bad speaker is probably somebody who's so engrossed in their own ego that they don't actually care about what the other person picks up on, or somebody who's not very good at getting their message across because they're too nervous, or they don't really know stagecraft, or they don't have a genuine interest in getting the other people to be better off as a result of talking to them.
So, do you think that if somebody wants to become an influencer, they need to be better speakers?
Yes and no. I don't think anybody should become an influencer. I think influencer is a dead term, and it doesn't know it's dead yet. I really do. I think that the idea of being an influencer came with the first wave of social media, because some people were able to turn it around into look at me better than other people were able to say look at me. So whether they're doing a duck face or taking pictures of their dinner or having a little video of them doing something silly or trying to be serious on LinkedIn, the term influencer has managed to work for some people because they're very good at getting the art form right. And so they can end up with 2, 3, 4, maybe 10 million followers in what they do. But I think that you're only really an influencer when you've got people paying for your services.
Yeah.
So I think that the old influencer of having millions of followers is not going to die, but I think that when the big brands realize that attaching themselves to a person with a huge following isn't going to sell product, attaching to somebody who's a micro-influencer, who's very specific about what they sell to their audience, who their audience is, they're given so much value that the audience will buy into anything that they're interested in talking about, that's where it should be going. So I think that the day of the influencer isn't quite gone yet, but I think the micro-influencer is going to be a smarter way to move forward. And that means that everyone then is going to have to start thinking about what it is that they do, what other people want them to do, and what the market will support. So the initial influencer thing about saying, look at me, I've got a really good idea, and this is going to help you to improve your life, I've just become a life coach, blah, blah, blah. It's nice, it's interesting for those who haven't seen 8,000 people already do it that day, but would people pay for that? Generally no. Why? Because it's everywhere. Everyone's pretending to be Tony Robbins. So I think what you need to do is double down into what it is that you really supply that has real intrinsic and unusual value that people can only get through you. And that's what the new influencer should be really about.
True. Tell me, what are your top 3 priorities in life?
In life? Wow. Getting through this interview without saying bad words is number 1. Right, here's my priority in life is very simple. I want to leave my daughter with a wonderful life ahead of her. That's it. That's it. I want to be a good enough dad to be able to educate her. I'm not even saying I want to leave her a ton of money because I'm quite happy spending it myself. But I think that what she needs to be able to do is feel free to be able to be successful in whatever the world has to throw at her. Because it's changing so quickly. The stuff that we grew up with, that we had to study, is gone. The idea of being in the workplace for your entire life has gone. More people, I mean, the team that I work with, most of them are at different places around the world, and I might never meet them. One guy, for instance, who creates my websites, I have not met him, and he's worked with me for 11 years.
Wow, 11 years.
11 years. He's in the Philippines. I pay him money every month, and he does stuff for me. We talk on Skype or we talk on text. You don't need to meet people to be able to make it happen. So the lie that we were given, that you work really hard and pay for this crazy education, expensive education, because that will get you a job, doesn't work anymore. I was being trained by Marshall Goldsmith 2 days ago, and he's one of the world's #1 business coaches, and it cost me $12 because I was on Udemy.com. And I paid $12, he did an hour's worth of video, and I was able to make lots of notes and learn loads of stuff, and that is the business model that's going to work. It's the same as music. People don't pay for music anymore, and artists don't make money from music. It used to be CDs you could, and albums you could, but what they make their money from is merchandising, because people perceive it as free. Education is going to go the same routes, and so many things are going to go the same routes, that they're so easily accessible, then people won't pay for them. But what they will pay for is the interpretation of what free is. Yeah. So if you can then harness it and save people time, energy, and money, then people will pay for that service from you. Mm. So I just think the game is changing and evolving in a good way.
It's disruption.
Yeah, but disruption in everything. I mean, I realise that, and you probably realise this as well, and our very quiet friend over there, Catherine, has just only quiet now, has realised as well, that I've been a disruptor for most of my life. And I've spent, even when I was a kid at school, I was the one who would always talk up. I'd be the one who didn't mind doing things for fun and kept everybody entertained. And so now in a world where everyone's going, right, there's a camera, do something, I'm going, I've always done this. So I'm finding it relatively easy to thrive in what's going on now. And all the people who would go, shh, behave, are going, I don't know what to do because I've been so used to behaving.
Because this behave doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't. If you behave now, then you just don't become visible. And if you're not visible, then how are you going to create a brand that people are going to want to buy into?
Exactly.
So I think disruption in anything is really good, but it can be brutal. And I think the key to anybody who wants to survive in the future in business is be open to change and expect it and keep changing things yourself, even if you haven't been hit by the tsunami of change in your industry. Just don't get comfortable with anything. But I kind of do that, and I did that anyway, and I really find it comfortable to be uncomfortable all the time.
So I just want to know, like, it's difficult to do something so consistently.
Yeah.
So what triggers you to do so many things so consistently over so long?
Well, the truth is I don't do so many things. I do two things. I'm a keynote speaker, and I train people to be keynote speakers. There's a lot of things that I can do, but I just don't talk about them. I don't go on about them because I don't want to muddy the waters of what people perceive me to be. So, for instance, I am a stage hypnotist. I can make people do crazy stuff. I can stop people smoking, lose weight, deal with childhood issues, deal with stress, deal with a whole load of fears and phobias, but there's other people who can do that as well. So I just don't talk about that. There's no point.
Okay.
So what drives me is all I have to do is make sure that I'm visible on a regular basis. I want to make sure that when somebody needs to speak or needs to hire a speaker, my name comes up in that conversation because they've seen me or somebody in the conversation has seen me. The same as in the good old days when Coca-Cola was the #1 brand on the planet, which I don't think it is now. I think Apple probably is, but anyway. And what they had as an advertising policy was they would spend a fortune on advertising because they wanted to be the first name that you thought of and the last name that you thought of. And the only way that could happen is just to spend money all the way through and do it. So people need consistency. If I was to talk about, if I wasn't to post a video as often as I do, or a post as often as I do, then people would find a gap that they want to fill, and somebody else would be able to step into the market that I've helped to create. So I don't actually post every day. I post mainly on LinkedIn more than anything because any video or post you have has a shelf life of about 2.5 days. I'll post on average about 2 to 3 times, maybe sometimes 4 times a week. I used to do it every single day, but I just find it's too challenging to monitor and make sure that people are reacting to it.
Yeah,
and plus, I've got a life.
Yeah, of course. And then, when people are reacting, you have to give them a response as well, so they're engaged. So it's going to be, that's why I said too many things.
Exactly. Well, what I'll do is I'll post on a day when I feel commitment to be able to do it. And I'll only post on a day when I'm willing to spend half an hour looking through people's posts to wake up the algorithm so I can then post. If you post straight away and leave it, nobody will see it.
Yeah.
You've got to post on other people's stuff first, and then when you post your actual stuff, you've got to comment on other people. Then when you post, the algorithm rewards you by putting you in front of people, and then you've got to react to it. And some days I'm good for that, and some days I'm not. But I don't want to be the #1 watched, commented, shared person on any. I don't care enough. I'm settled down, I've got a lovely wife, lovely kid, lovely dogs, got a great group of friends, I love what I do. This is part of my marketing. It's not driven by my ego, which hopefully I haven't got a massive ego, but I do look good on camera. No, it's my job, and so I do the job the best that I can, but it's not because I want people to love me and all the rest of it. I did that when I was doing radio, and what hit me so hard is when you're not on radio anymore, nobody knows who you are, nobody cares. So it's very transient, it doesn't matter, it's like collecting football cards. You've got a lot of them at one point, and then suddenly you've got none. So you just got to put that into perspective.
So how many different people, how many different well-known people have you trained so far?
It's a difficult question. As for well-known people, I don't mention who I've worked with. I'll tell you why, because I think it's unfair. If I say they're mine and they're mine and they're mine, it almost belittles their brand by saying Dave Crane's the only reason that they were able to be where they are. I don't think that's particularly fair. I think I want people to be able to be out there and do it. But what I do is I have a tribe of people that I'm growing and nurturing and sharing, and everybody in the tribe is aware of what I do. More and more, I'm working with more celebrities, more well-known people, politicians, VIPs, business owners. So I guess that well-known is relative, because I think that what we've got now is so many industries have stars in them. Once upon a time, if you're on TV or radio, you were the star, or movie, you were a star. Now you can be a star in making pizzas, or a star in the water industry, if you're in the water industry with other people.
Yeah, the paradigm has shifted.
It shifted. There's tons and tons of people who are now well known, and I don't think it quite qualifies them to be famous, but under the old terms, it probably would be famous. But I don't feel it's my place to mention who they are. If they want to say it comes from me, that's fine. It's like when I was doing hypnosis. You know, when you teach people to do golfing, then you can create the best golfer in the golf club easily by using hypnosis to make them much better at doing it. But they'll never tell anybody they went to see a hypnotist, because they want everyone to think it came from them naturally. I mean, other people will see the same person to get a score. But if somebody wants to lose weight or deal with childhood issues or stop smoking through a hypnotist, they'll tell everybody. Because, you know, look at me, this is great, I went to see a hypnotist, and that's how I did it. Speaking is along the same kind of lines, but I think that because it's such a tiny drop in the ocean of the people I'm training right now, when it becomes more common, people will start realizing the catchphrases that I've put into people. And we go, was that from Dave Crane? But it might also happen a different way. I mean, I was the person who started the original all-you-can-eat and drink deal in Dubai. 25 years ago, I came over, and when I was in the UK, we used to have a £20 all-you-can-eat and drink evening at a place I was entertaining at. So I brought it to Dubai. I created a thing called the 100 Club, 100 dirhams all you can eat and drink. It was on a Thursday in Champions Bar in the now closed JW Marriott. And it made people lose their minds. People turned into the Walking Dead. And now that's a default setting for any buffet anywhere. It's all you can eat and drink. But nobody gives me any credit or any money or even any free food. So I guess that just sometimes having knowledge that you created it is as good as you get.
Yes, true. So, is there a message that you would like to give to all the budding entrepreneurs who are trying to make their mark in the world?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. First of all, don't take yourself too seriously, but also do take your business seriously. It is a business. It's not about you, and it's never about you. I would also say that who is it about? It's about your clients. Always ask what's in it for them, not what's in it for you. And if you supply what they need, they will pay for it. It's that simple. When you're starting a new business, it's going to take twice as long and cost you twice as much and be twice as heartbreaking as you thought it was going to be. So whatever your calculations are, forget it. Just double it and expect it to be a surprise. Another thing about running a business, especially a growing business, it's like driving a car. When you put your foot on the accelerator, it doesn't feel any faster when you're inside the car. But from the outside, it can go really fast. So your growth may not seem like much, but the people who are standing still will go, wow, you've done really well.
True.
So
Yes.
I think the key is to not beat yourself up so much when things don't work out. Have a good sense of humour. Study and do self-improvement as much as you can. And hire a coach. Fast track. Why make all those mistakes on your own and then find that people who are not as good as you go past? Well, get someone who's really good, pay the money, get them to teach you how to do it properly, like me, and then you just save time. Because when you're young, it doesn't matter. Time is just a currency, and it doesn't matter. When you get old and grey and you're turning into blooming Denzel Washington, Bobby Morgan Freeman, like me, then your time is precious. And so I will pay to not have to get my learning curve working. I'd much rather get to a finishing line and go, right, there we are, what's next?
Yeah. What's your definition of success, Dave? And how did you form it?
My definition of success is, do you wake up and do you go to bed every day? Do you have a smile on your face for most of it? Do you feel contented? So if you were hit by a bus tomorrow, you would go, you know what, I got as much out of life as I truly wanted. I think that for me, is success. I understand for some people it's about making money, it's being on top of the food chain, and all the rest of it. But that's my personal one. I think people have been they've been brainwashed into chasing somebody else's idea of what success truly is. And that's driven by the matrix of what money's all about. Now, money's important. We need money. Without money, we can't have a life. We can't do anything. So money should be at the heart of what it is that you create. But I also think that money's an energy. When you're desperate for money, you can't get any. When you've got too much of it, then it keeps finding you all over the place. So a lot of it's what's in your mind and what messages you send out to the world. So I would send out being gratitude and abundance and happiness. And if you can understand how to be happy with no money, then why are you working so hard for the money? You can just be happy all the time. And that's what it's really all about anyway.
Thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Amazing. I got somebody who's so inspiring. I hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more.
Thank you, Mike.